March 14th, 2021. That was the day. I've never told this story publicly before. Not because it's dramatic. Actually, it's the opposite. It's so quiet and so ordinary that I wasn't sure anyone would care. But I think about it every single day. And I think some of you need to hear it. Not the cleaned up testimony version. The real one. The one where I sat in a gas station parking lot at 11 p.m. and decided I was done. It didn't start on March 14th. It started months before, maybe longer. I couldn't tell you the exact moment because it wasn't a moment. It was erosion. You know how a cliff doesn't collapse all at once? The waves just hit it day after day, and one morning there's no cliff left? That was me. It started with unanswered prayers. I had been praying for something specific for over a year. Something I genuinely believed God had promised me. Not in an audible voice, but in that deep gut way where you just know. And nothing happened. Then someone I trusted in the church hurt me. Not in a way I can explain in a sentence. The kind of hurt where the thing they did wasn't as bad as the fact that they didn't think it mattered. And I remember sitting in my car after that conversation thinking, these are the people who represent God, and then the doubt crept in. Not the healthy kind I've talked about in other videos, the dangerous kind, the kind that doesn't ask questions, it just goes quiet. I stopped praying, not dramatically, I just ran out of things to say. I stopped reading my Bible because every verse felt like a promissory note that God hadn't honored. And I stopped going to church because every Sunday felt like showing up to a party I wasn't invited to. And here's what I want to tell you from where I'm sitting now, years later. I wasn't angry at God. I know that's what people assume when someone almost leaves. They think it's some big dramatic fight. It wasn't. I was exhausted. There's a difference between anger and exhaustion. Anger still has energy in it. Anger means you care enough to fight. Exhaustion is when the fight leaves your body and all that's left is this flat, hollow nothing. And that nothing is scarier than any doubt I've ever had. Because at least doubt means you're still engaged. Exhaustion means you checked out and you're not sure you want to check back in. March 14th. It was a Tuesday. I remember because I'd gone to a midweek Bible study for the first time in weeks. A friend had asked me to come, and I said yes out of guilt, not desire. I sat in the back. The leader was talking about God's faithfulness, and all I could think was, is he though? Because from where I was sitting, faithfulness looked a lot like silence. I left before it ended. Didn't say goodbye to anyone. Got in my car and just drove. No destination, just driving. And somewhere around 11 p.m., I pulled into a gas station parking lot off the highway. Not to get gas, I just needed to stop moving. And I sat there with the engine running, and I had this thought that was so clear. It scared me. I'm done. Not I'm angry, not I need a break. I'm done. Done with prayer that goes nowhere. Done with a community that wounds you and calls it fellowship. Done with waiting for a God who feels like he stopped showing up 2 years ago. I'm done. I sat there for a long time, maybe 20 minutes, maybe an hour. I don't remember. I do remember that at some point I Googled how to stop being a Christian on my phone. And I know how that sounds. I know some of you just laughed. Good. It was absurd. But I was serious. I was looking for permission to leave. I wanted someone on the internet to tell me it was okay to quit. And then someone knocked on my window. I almost jumped out of my seat. It was an old man, maybe late 60s. He was standing outside my car in a gas station parking lot at close to midnight, and he looked worried. I rolled my window down and he said, I'm sorry, I don't mean to bother you. I was filling up my truck over there, and I saw you sitting here, and I don't know why, but I just felt like I needed to come check on you. Are you okay? And I don't know why, but I started crying. Not quiet tears, the kind where your whole body shakes and you can't breathe right and you're embarrassed but you can't stop. And this man, this stranger who I had never seen before and will probably never see again, he didn't flinch. He didn't preach at me. He didn't quote a Bible verse. He just stood there in the cold, with his hand on the edge of my car window, and waited. And after I calmed down, he said one thing. I don't know what you're going through, son, but whatever it is, you're not done yet. You're not done yet. And he walked back to his truck and drove away. I never got his name. I never saw his face clearly enough to recognize him if I did. He was just a man in a parking lot who felt like he was supposed to check on a stranger. I've spent years thinking about that moment, and for a long time I tried to make it into something it wasn't. I tried to turn it into a clean testimony. God sent an angel to a gas station. But I don't think that's what happened. I think what happened is simpler and honestly more beautiful. I think an old man saw a kid sitting alone in a parking lot at midnight, and his gut told him something was wrong. And instead of minding his own business, which is what most of us would do, he walked over. That's it. No divine revelation, no glowing light, just a human being listening to a nudge he didn't fully understand. And that's how God showed up for me. Not in the wind, not in the earthquake, not in the fire. 1 Kings 19 says Elijah was hiding in a cave, running from everything, wanting to die. And God didn't come to him in the dramatic moments. He came in a still small voice. My still small voice was a stranger in a gas station parking lot who said 6 words. You're not done yet. I didn't drive home that night and have a revival. I didn't suddenly feel God's presence flood my car. I drove home, went to bed, and woke up the next morning, still exhausted. But something had shifted. Not my faith, my willingness. I wasn't ready to believe everything was going to be okay. But I was willing to not quit today. And the next day, I was willing to not quit again. And that's how it went. Not a comeback story. A one day at a time story. Isaiah 43:2 says, when you pass through the waters, I will be with you. It doesn't say I'll remove the waters. It says I'll be in them with you. And I think for months, maybe years, God was in the water with me. And I couldn't see him because I was looking for him on the shore. I was looking for the big rescue, the dramatic answer, the prayer finally getting answered. And he was right there, neck deep in the same mess I was in, waiting for me to notice. There's a moment in John 21 that I didn't understand until all of this happened. After Peter denied Jesus 3 times after the resurrection, Jesus finds Peter back at his fishing boat. He'd gone back to his old life. And Jesus doesn't lecture him. He doesn't say, how could you deny me? He makes him breakfast. He cooks fish on the beach for the man who abandoned him. And then he asks him one question, 3 times. Peter, do you love me? 1 for each denial. And Peter says, Lord, you know I do. And Jesus says, then feed my sheep. That's restoration, not a punishment, not a test. A meal and a question and a second chance. And I think that's what the gas station was for me. God cooking breakfast on the beach for someone who was about to walk away. March 14th, 2021. That was the day I almost walked away from God, and a man whose name I'll never know is the reason I didn't. I've thought about him every day since. I've wondered if he knows, if he has any idea that a 30-second conversation in a parking lot kept someone's entire faith from collapsing. He probably doesn't. He probably went home and went to bed and forgot about it by morning. But God didn't forget. Hosea 2:14 says, I will lead her into the wilderness and speak tenderly to her. I was in the wilderness, and God spoke tenderly. Not through a sermon, not through a verse, through a stranger who listened to a nudge. I still don't fully understand why that season happened. I've made peace with not knowing. But what I do know is this. If you're in the parking lot right now, engine running, thinking about driving away from all of it, you're not done yet. And the fact that you're still here, watching this, tells me that somewhere deep down, you know it too.